Okay. Ready?
Yes.
All right, let's learn. So, pasuk tes. We're up to the recital of the dreams. Yisaper sahamashkim es chalomer le Yosef. Vayomer loy. Bachaloy mi. V'hine gefen lefonai. So Mashkim told Yosef his dream, and he said, in my dream, V'hine gefen lefonai. So V'hine, it's always a lashon used for dreams. Like Yosef's dreams too. V'hine. Anachnu ma'al malumim, right? So V'hine, it's like something, all of a sudden, like we say, people say when they say dreams, right? All of a sudden this, and then that, and then that. It's like you're sort of reliving it.
They don't follow the usual.
I guess, right? Because everything just comes out of nowhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So V'hine this, and then V'hine that. Yeah, I guess that's probably what it is. It's out of nowhere. It seems to be out of nowhere. And that's all I ever dream. It just seems to come out of nowhere. Okay. Uvagefen shaloisha sorigim. So I want to say something about the shaloisha sorigim.
He's also the national.
Yeah. Para does it. Yosef does it. Okay. So I want to say something about the shaloisha sorigim, which of course represent the shaloisha yamim. And there's something very similar. If you look at Para's dream, there's also a number of items that also corresponds to a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Right? There it's shanim, here it's yamim. Now it's very significant, we'll talk about this soon. What the significance of time in the dream is. Okay, this is very interesting. This whole focus of the 3 days. We'll talk about that soon. But I just wanted to point out that in as much as in Para's dream, in the Samashkim and Sarifim's dream, there's a number of items that represent a certain amount of time, and in Para's dream, there's a number of items that represent a certain amount of time, 3 and 7 respectively. Well, there was another dream, the first of the dream series, where there was a number of items, Acharas Kechavim.
Right.
So how come that doesn't represent an amount of time? Or perhaps it does in some meaning, and maybe there's some 11. Go see if it works out. But the in the pattern of things, the number of items in a dream, which is not obvious, by the way, not at all obvious, why a certain number of things in a dream should represent a certain amount of time is very strange. Right? There's no correspondence between Sarigim and time, no correspondence between cows and time. We'll get to that soon. But in as much.
Or years of grain and time either.
Okay, but there it wasn't a number.
The years of grain?
We need
dream.
Right.
No, but again, frankly, with Yosef, the Chad Asal Kechavim follows.
No, that's two different dreams.
I understand, but if they're set,
right?
Pari has a pattern, has a set of dreams, and their Samach drivers and have a set of 2 dreams.
Right.
So his set of dreams starts with not a number but people, and therefore the number corresponds to the people.
Right.
There's already that. So
right.
Maybe that's the difference.
Right, because the first dream there's no number. Right, so then the Hagufa is interesting. That in other words, in the 3 sets of dreams, there's another thing to compare.
Yeah.
The Para's 2 dreams, Samashim Sarifim 2 dreams, and Yosef's 2 dreams.
Yeah.
There's numbers in 5 of them.
Yeah.
Right, and even in Yosef's first dream, there's not a number explicitly.
Right.
Which you only pick up the numbers section. Is interesting. And of course, 3, 7, and 11. Very nice set of numbers there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And an interesting thing also that what nobody was generally not noted is that it seems that Binyamin was present in the first dream. Because otherwise, where's the 11?
So what?
He's not. People don't note him as having been present, having him said anything about this or responded. Yes, he was young. So.
Okay, fine. So I just wanted to point that out, that this 3 sarigim representing a certain amount of time has a correspondence in Para's dream too. V'hi chifay rachas olat tzanitza. So just to explain, I'm not going to go into the exact blossoming and how this works, but the point is that what does the chaf of chifay rachas mean? So Rashi means it was as if it looked that way. And the Ramban argues on that because it's a dream. Why would you say everything in the dream is like that? Why would you have to repeat that it's as if such and such a thing happened? Every dream is as if. Why is it saying kif? So the Ramban says it means like this: kif arachas, just as it had, meaning it had barely budded. V'hi chif arachas, it had just budded, And then also Nitza, and out came the blossoms, which means that everything happened very quickly. Why is it important? Why is this relevant in the dream that he saw a vine that quickly turned into grapes? I don't know.
Well,
Years,
so maybe that's the implication that it could be a long amount of time and short amount of time.
I think the Ibn Ezra maybe says that. No. I have nothing to say in those words. The 3 branches are 3 days. Now this is an interesting lashon. The 3 branches are 3 days. We have the same thing in Paro's dream. In Perek Memalef Pasuk Chavav, Sheva Paras HaTovis, Sheva Sharnim Heina, Sheva Shibon HaTovis, Sheva Sharnim Heina, right? So what that means is like this. When he says these 7 is that, right? What that means is these 3 things are a symbol that represent 3 days. Which now notice that it's different than the rest of the dream. I mean, it says like this. Yosef doesn't continue and say like this. He doesn't say the 3 sarigim are 3 days. The squeezing of the kais is XYZ, right? He doesn't do that. The only symbol that he interprets is the shlosh sarigim, right? And I think there's a very simple reason for that, which is that the rest of the dream doesn't require symbolic interpretation. Correct?
Yeah.
There's nothing. You don't have to explain that the kais pare stands for XYZ. It's very simple. Yeah, you're gonna. The whole chiddush of right. Yosef is interpreting one symbol, and that's why he says Zep is the same thing in the Sarha'ifim's dream. He says Zep is and therefore what? In 3 days, pare used by Rosh. He doesn't say it like this. The 3 salam is 3 days. The birds are whatever. The food represents you. What?
Yeah, he doesn't say the food represents you.
Yeah, even though it's implied right? Yeah. It's implied in the piston, but that's automatic.
Yeah.
Once we know it's 3 days, then everything follows. Now, it is a very interesting thing because you have to think about the story. It's not clear at all why the time is at all relevant in the story. This whole story, as it's simply understood, which is Yosef demonstrating his great prowess at interpreting dreams, the chayra, and the fact that there's a sarmash, and one gets out, one gets killed, and one of them comes back and saves Yosef's life. The fact that there is a certain amount of time until their sentence gets meted out, and the fact that it was that specific amount of time is a red herring, legamri, and completely irrelevant. Meaning, I'm saying it's like this. You can imagine a story. These guys are in jail. Who cares when it happened? Who cares that they knew that they had this intuition, this dream that in 3 days something's going to happen? It's completely irrelevant. The point is, 2 guys are in jail under this danger, and they both had a dream about their fate. Imagine you could have that story, right? They each had a dream. Same chait, and one had a dream that he was giving him to drink, and one had a dream that the birds. And Yosef told him, "You're going to live and you're going to die." A couple days later, Pi made a party. Or Vahi Achar Dvar Ma'ila, and Bahar made a party.
There still are 3. Why are there 3?
No. I'm saying, I'm of course. I'm saying, I'm asking a question on the story. Right. Why is it important that there's 3? Okay, that's one question. I have one question. No, first I pointed out that the 3 is the only symbolic representation is that Yosef somehow B'Rev Chachamasa extrapolates that 3 sarigim means 3 days. That's the first notable thing about the 3 sarigim, which is that's the only thing that's getting symbolic interpretation. The rest of it is pretty obvious. Chada. Second point, the whole business focus on the time seems to be completely irrelevant.
Except if you remember that Pari is going to have a dream, then it's going to focus on time and time.
Okay, well, Hagufa.
And time will be very relevant.
Hagufa. Okay, but here it's not.
It may be necessary for the Sar Master to say, I know somebody who knows how to interpret the symbols in dreams, including the numbers.
That may be so. It happens to be notable. Okay, that's a prat, and I don't think that's the whole story. It certainly can't be the whole story. I'll tell you why. Because Amashkim said, he didn't say a word about the time. Which is very interesting, okay? He didn't say anything about the numbers. It's pretty interesting. And even with what I'm going to discuss tonight, it becomes interesting, but it becomes workable. Now, so what's the point? So I'm pointing out a few things. You have to read the psukim carefully. Zep Pisroina is a very important pasuk. This is where Yosef is saying, this is where Yosef is doing true dream interpretation. Right? Because true dream interpretation, you take something which is a symbol and you say what it's a symbol for. And again, like I keep on saying, the fact that if you squeeze Pare's kais, you're going back to your job is so obvious. One dreamt about getting his job back, and one dreamt about birds eating bread off his head, which is doesn't mean he's feeding Pare's bread. It means basically he's tight.
Worried? Why don't they know what's going to happen?
Oh, so 1 second. Why? No, so they didn't know what the Shlosh Tzarika meant. No. Zep is right. That's Yosef's greatest kunz. You know what his peser was? You know why he's such a good peser? Because he was able to say.
I mean 3 days.
3 days. And I shall prove to you is very significant, because remember what happened. What did the Sarah Ephraim say? Sarah Ephraim was reticent, right? The Sarah Mashkim spoke up right away. Sarah Ephraim didn't talk until Vayar Sarah Ephraim Kitayv Pasa, as we've been discussing, right? Sarah Ephraim was afraid that he had a very scary dream. He wasn't going to speak up. Oh, Vayar Kitayv. So what did he say? Afani b'chaloimi, which means I had the same dream.
I also had 3.
Yeah, because I also had 3. And he said, yeah, Yitak had the same dream. Zep is right, but no.
The rest of the dream is different. So why does it help?
The rest of the dream is different, right? Because everyone is very busy. Oh, because the dream hinges. Because the pisrin is 3, and the 3 is not just a detail, right? You see what I'm getting at? You see from this whole situation that 3 is very, very critical. The 3 yamim is very critical, and everything hinges on that. Ad k'dei kach that the Sarah Ephraim said, oh, if his shloisha yamim is good, that means my shloisha yamim is good. Now he's wrong.
He was wrong.
Let's figure that out. How was he wrong? But now I'm trying to trace the logic here. That the Sarah Ephraim is very, very focused on the fact that his dream was similar, and it was only similar in one thing, but it was similar in the key thing that required a chacham like Yosef to interpret. Okay? And I want to prove to you he's such a chacham, and this is my last kasha. What do 3 srigim have to do with 3 yamim? Since when is a sorig or a basket a symbol for a day? It's a very bad symbol. A fat cow is a good symbol for
a year?
No, for a good year. For a year.
And
a good year.
And a fat year of grain is good because they grow
seasonal.
Approximately a yearly
Exactly.
basis.
Exactly.
At least in the time where it's flood. Okay.
That if you would have told him, L'moshel, 3 sirigim, you're going to have 3 more years of serving power. Even that wouldn't be so shver. Because the Geffen obviously represents the fact, the Geffen is the fact that, you serve power with the Geffen, right? And why were there 3 Gefanim? Because you're going to serve him for 3 years. I don't know why. Oh, no. The 3 Gefanim are 3 days. This is a Moshunadik Episrin. It's such a Moshunadik Episrin that it actually makes no sense to me. No, seriously. From all the Pesroinis in the Gans Tanakh, doesn't make sense. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream with a tzelem. The top was red, right? One part was gold, one part was silver. Okay, very geschmack. One is this melech, one is that melech, right? This passer to me, it makes no sense. Why? If I have a dream, and my dream, I'm walking on the street, and I pass 3 cars, right? You tell me, okay, that's because in 3 days something's going to happen. They're very strange piston. And by the way, and to prove that, obviously, it has nothing to do with the item, because if Shleisha Salam is Shleisha Yamim, and Shleisha Sivigim is Shleisha Yamim, so it's clearly not, the answer is not going to be, Sareg or a Sal is a symbol for a day, because which one is it? Sareg or a Sal? Alamai, a certain number of items in a dream is symbolic of time. That has to be the, right?
But how do you know how much time?
No! How do you know? That's not a kasha. That's a kasha. My kasha is, we have to explain that. Why is the number of things you see?
Numbers of items count as time. Okay.
Right. How is, right? Given that, the answer is not going to be find some way that a soreg corresponds to time or a day, because it's salu also.
Hold on.
Rather dream items.
You're telling us that we're supposed to, based on Yosef's Pesroinos, we're going to figure out the side of Pesroin?
No, I'm telling you one very... Yeah, first of all, yes, but that's not my point. No, my point is much more basic than my point is every other person in the Tanakh, including the one of Vayeshev, including the one of Mashim Miketz, I mean, beginning of Vayeshev and Mashim Miketz, makes perfect sense, not so shver. I'm going to say 3 Madregas in Pisrin, okay? The fact that the Mashim is getting the job, like is not, Mamash don't even need Yosef for that. You and I could have told you that. Okay?
Maybe.
The fact that means Molech Timlich, that's already interesting, but it makes sense. Meaning I wouldn't necessarily know that, but it makes sense. Oh, you're dreaming of bowing to you, okay, sun, moon, 11 stars, okay, your mother, father, 11 brothers, fine, makes sense. It's a piston and it makes sense. And yes, right, and Daniel's pistroinus make perfect sense. You need a chacham of piston. His piston to your power makes perfect sense. This is a piston that I'm arguing makes no sense. My shaykhs 3 yamim to 3 sirigim.
Okay.
Master to kasha.
But you're not talking. Yeah. Okay.
I'm not saying we have to.
You're not talking about Para. Para looks like a good year.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Para. It's also Para. It's not even that, right? Para. It's that 7 cows means 7 good. How many? Okay, 7 goods. Say that. What do you mean 7 goods? 7 years ago. It could have been 7 months ago. Some of years is because,
And
like you said,
the thin ones, right,
are 7 bad.
7 bad.
Right, bad over time. Right.
Also,
Like I said, if you would have said you're going to serve Parah, you're going to have another 3 years of serving Parah, and then you're going to die. Fine, say it. That wouldn't bother me so much. Shlosh Savigim, because you have 3 years. But he's saying Shlosh Savigim means. I'm saying.
Why would you think that's better?
No, because then right, there's 3 vine. The vine is obviously how you serve Parah.
Yeah,
and
so
you have 3 of them.
Except the vines are still ripening. They have to ripen.
Fine, I understand. I know it wouldn't be great. Taka wouldn't be great, but it's less rachik. He's still interpreting the item that appeared in the dream, which really means one thing, and the repetition of the item, the amount of times the item appeared in the dream refers to a certain amount of time. That's what he's saying. That's the chiddush of here. Which tzarich beer. What shaykh is the item to time? Okay, masking. So we have 3 questions here. Number 1. No, really 4 questions. Number 1, the whole time thing in the whole parsha is clear. You could have learned the whole parsha out. We could have had the whole thing without the whole time thing happening. I don't see any reason why that. Why is it necessary for the dreams that they should know the amount of time that's going to pass till the judgment? Okay, right?
Okay.
Secondly, Zep Pisroina is mamish. This is the only thing that Yosef is being posted. Everything else follows. That's why he says this is the only thing that he's giving the symbolic interpretation of. He says this is that. The rest he just says what's going to happen because he doesn't have to explain. No, to say. No, Daniel's also like that. Daniel's also like that most of the time. No, it's usually saying what the item is. Usually, okay, you have to mind it.
Oh, exactly. So he's saying that.
Usually, a piston is to define the symbol. The animal is this malchus. Okay, once you know the animal is this malchus, that animal's fighting with that animal. Of course, it means that they're fighting with each other. It's usually like that.
Right, and the statue is the different malchus.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can say.
And then an Evan comes shalai b'yadayim. Okay, the Evan stands for malchus. You usually don't have to interpret what's happening. You just have to interpret the things.
Right. Okay.
Same thing over here. He just has to tell him what the things are, but he doesn't have to tell him what the oif is.
The also he knew what the dream was. But
yeah, of course, right. But you don't know, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pisron, right? Seems like Pisron is interpreting symbols. That's what it seems. And symbols and usually items, not action. That is what it seems. Either way, in this case, it's like that.
Psychological interpretation is also, but
usually right.
But it's different.
Yeah. So in this case, it's like that, and that's why the pasuk sets off Zep Pisron. Ad kedei kach, that's the second order. Third order is Ad kedei kach, that the Saharaifim knows that everything hinges on that, and therefore he says Zafani b'chaloimi. Yeah. He was wrong. I understand. We'll get to that soon. But apparently, this piston of being Shleish Yom is extremely important. Okay? And 4th order was.
Well, if it's 3 days, then it means it's not going to be for 3 more years. It means something that's going to happen in 3 days. Because
so what? No. But why does Saharaifim think that just because he had the same 3 days?
Right, that's the point.
Okay.
The point is that 3 means 3 days rather than 3 years.
Yeah.
Changes the outcome completely.
And therefore what?
Therefore, in 3 days you're going to get your job back, not you're going to live for 3 more years.
So what? What's your point? I don't know what you're saying. So what are you answering?
In 3 days, everything goes back.
Are you answering a question?
No, I'm saying that the Kitay Fasar is he made the 3 into a very short time from when a good thing will start.
That's not Kitay Fasar. Kitay Fasar was that the Sarmashkim is going to live.
Right, but...
And yet the piston is about the 3 days, right?
Again, if you're saying the piston...
That's neutral, right? The 3 days is neutral. It's a good question. No,
right.
but
why is it Kitay Fasar?
Because apparently that piston of 3 days led to Taif.
Because it did.
Because he's going to live.
With 3 years.
They could live in 3 years also. Who says? Maybe he'll be in jail for 3 more years and then you get job.
Or
it's also good.
But you could have said that he's going to serve Pi for 3 more years, right?
Yeah, but you could say he'll serve Pi for 3 more days. No. Right?
No,
why not?
He's not serving Pi now. All right, fine.
I don't know. I don't see it. I don't think it's the point. I think I think we have to follow exactly what it takes us. The piston is the time, right? The piston stands for time, and the Lamaisa it led to the total piston was Taiv. That after this amount of time you're going to live, and Saraifim says, "Oh, I also have that same amount of time, so I also will live." Mm-hmm. Okay. And my 4th question is the whole piston makes no sense to me. What is Shleish Sarigim after Shleish Yom? Okay. Okay, so now to understand this all, we have to go back to Kehelis. Let's see what it says in Kehelis. This is all things we've discussed. You see it's going to all come together in an amazing way. Let's see what it says in Kehelis. Let's start with Perek Zayin Pasuk Yud Beis, where Pasuk Yud Aleph and Beis, it talks about that the Chacham don't have lechem. Right? Why not? Says Pasuk Yud Aleph. I'm sorry, did I say Perek Zayin? Perek Tes Pasuk Yud Aleph. Perek Tes Pasuk Yud Aleph. Sorry. Perek Tes Pasuk Yud Aleph. Why do Chachamim not have lechem? Because the Eis Bafega Yikras Kulam. Because the Eis comes, and it just comes out of the blue, as it says in Pasuk Yud Beis, Lo Yeda Ha'adam Es Itai. You don't know the future. Okay? Kahem Yukashim B'nei Adam LaEis Ru'ah K'Shatipa Le'em Pisal. There's such a thing called the Eis Ru'ah and Kelas. Kelas is very, very busy with Itim. Of course, Eis Lamos, we'll talk about that. Kelas is very, very, very consumed with this idea of Itim, which means basically like this, that Elokim has his Itim. That means there's a divine plan that's unfolding and has various components in it, which correspond to various times, meaning this is the time for that, this is the time for that. And we are witnesses to that. We see it unfold, but we're only privy to what we see in front of our eyes. We're not privy to the itim that are not current. And therefore, you could be the biggest chacham, but you don't know the ace, right? And Pisaim and Ace Rock will come along, and there's nothing to do about it, right? Okay, now, if you look in Perek Ches, there it talks about, we spoke about this too, there's no one like the chacham who knows the pasha. That's Yosef, who was able to be pasha, right? And there it talks about, let's say in Pasuk Daled, the king could do whatever he wants, right? B'Shem mitzvah lo yeda davara. We spoke about this, that once the mashke malchut tzayim elayfer rechayti, the king could do whatever he wants. Only Shem mitzvah could avoid the davara. Ve'eso mishpat yeda leiv chacham. So the chacham could know the ace and the mishpat. Why? Because it says in the beginning of the parak that he knows the pesha davar, right? He knows how to interpret dreams.
And the dreams tell you about times.
Dreams tell you about times.
The regular chacham doesn't.
What?
The regular chacham doesn't.
The regular chachma doesn't. The chacham doesn't know is itai. But there's this new super chachma, right? Which Daniel calls the high chachma l'chakimin, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a high level of chachma which they got. A chachma adam ta'ir panav. Daniel avoided the lechem and his face was shining, right? And Yosef also avoided the lechem mitzrayim, and they get this high level of chachma, which is to be able to interpret dreams. Now, what does it say? Let's say like a pasuk vav. Ki l'chol chayfetz ish esu mishpat. Ki ras adam rabba olav. Ki inenu yedea mashayeh. Same idea. You don't know what's coming. No one could tell you what's coming, but the chacham could, because the chacham knows pesha davar. Right? We spoke about this, I think, 2 weeks ago. Mikeh hachacham. Because Mikeh hachacham means a person doesn't know what's coming, but a chacham is like God. And that's what Yosef said, right? Elokim yana. Elokim pesrainim, right?
Yeah.
Why is he like God? Because really, the itim, Hashem has his itim, and really humans are not part of the future.
Not part of the future.
Meaning we only have the present. Yeah, but we relate to a certain point in time.
Because we only move in time. We only know what we have.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right now, but
we remember past, but we're living in the
right.
present. Okay.
But the Gabi, the ace of the future, that's only the Kim knows.
Okay.
Man doesn't, but the Chacham is able to
know that.
To know that. Fine. Now.
And that's a divine knowledge, and enables them to
divine
live
knowledge.
in a sense, in a more divine way.
Yeah. So now, okay, let's see what happens. Let's look at pasuk. Okay, this is so we say these pasukim. So that means, let's see. We spoke about this also. Lo Lechem Lechem. Just take a look at that again, just to remind you. Lo Lechem Lechem Perek Tes. Right. So it talks about Lo Lechem Lechem, and then a few pasukim later it talks about the small city that Ish Miskin Chacham saves the city, and no one remembers the poor man. Right. That we spoke. And the Medrash Taka says that Yosef came and saved Mitzrayim. The Ish Lo Zachar Es Ish Abaskin. V'adam lo yizachas isha maskinahu, that's lo yizachas amashkim Yosef, right? And tova chachma megvura. So is chachma good or is it not good? Right. So we spoke about it. Lo lechem lechem.
Well, again, it's that the Chumash remember, but also
yes.
You also save the whole country.
Correct. That's right. That is right. There's a melech gadol. That melech gadol is paray, and then there's ish miskin hu chacham, who really should get credit for the whole country, and no one really cares about him. And Tova Chacham Megvura. So we spoke about this then. Originally it says over there that Chacham don't have lechem. And then all of a sudden Tova Chacham Megvura says a certain type of Chacham, right? There's a Chacham that can't, like you just said, the Chacham that cannot see the future. So it's very nice to be a Chacham, but ultimately something is going to come out of the blue and you're not going to be able to predict it. Yosef ultimately was controlled the lechem because he became the Chacham who could see the future, which is what Chalomis are about. So what are Chalomis about? Chalomis are about
But that was what Das Hashem was about.
No. Das Hashem is to know everything so well that you understand what's going to unfold.
Right.
Chalomis is knowing without that. Yosef woke up and he knew he was going to become king. He didn't know why. Yosef told Pai he's going to be a Rav. He had no idea why. Yosef told Samash Saif, you're going to die, you're going to live. Why? I have no idea.
Yeah, okay. Different kind of thing.
It's a very different thing. It's accepting the fact, it's accepting the whole message of Kehelis, which is that we have no clue what's flying in the world, and saying, Afal Pikein, there's a way to manipulate it.
Right.
It's a loyodati kind of mahalach. Okay? Right? It's very important. So let's think one thing at a time. A dream is about itim. A dream deals with the problem that there's something called ace. Kehelis is very busy with this, right? There's an ace coming. Take a look, for example. We saw that pasuk. Ace v'fega yikres kulam. It's like the ace does something. It's like the ace is active. It's like the idea of fate time being fate. Is really Kehelis. You have that, right?
Similar idea.
Goyal Hazman, right? Right. And then, but the Chacham knows eight, and he says, "Chochev, it's yesh esu mishpat ki yuas mabalav." So since there's a lot of ra in the world, there's all sorts of itim. There's all sorts of itim, and there's ace ra, and the ace ra comes pisayim. What are you gonna do about it? I'll tell you what you can do about it. You can have a dream. It means a dream has one function. The function of a dream is to contract, is to bridge the gap between present and all the unknown itim. Mainly, you know what dreams are about? They're about time. That's Yosef's Chiddush number 1.
Sorry?
Yosef's Chiddush number 1
right.
is that dreams are about time. Right.
Times that come along that change the rules that don't necessarily have to do with what would logically naturally happen.
Correct. Dreams are how you deal with the fact. Dreams are the solution, or the God-given solution, call it, to be able to bridge the gap between the now and the later, which is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, when you have a dream and you have a certain number of items in a dream, that's what the dream is about. The dream is about the fact that oh wait,
a time is coming.
Yeah, there's some other. That's what dreams are about. So anything you see in a dream,
it's time.
It's time. That brings me to the question that maybe that's time also. But back to that point. I understand what you said before was good, but I'm just saying it brings that out. Now I want to say something about like this. Daniel, it's interesting. Daniel's the big dreamer.
Yeah. And
he's the one who tells us the whole time of history.
The time, yeah.
The Edon, like he's busy with his man, right? His man Edon.
When it comes to the end, it gives us
1,300. Right, everything's about time. You want meaning, and this is the problem of Kehelis. Says basically Hashem has a plan in the world, and we have no idea what it is, and we just are spectators to it. And Daniel says we know what it is, basically.
Well, he knows.
Right. Okay. If you can case, you can figure out what Daniel's saying.
And
but it's very important.
In such a way that we shouldn't know.
The Seder, good. You have to figure that out. You have to understand that it's still a dream. It lives a dream. I don't know, whatever you want to say. I don't know what the pshat is in that. But no, I'm just pointing. I'm not saying a full pshat. I'm pointing out that like this: that Kehelis has a message that everything is just recurring, and there's all sorts of things happening, and we cannot make sense of it because we have no idea what's coming and what's going. And Daniel is the one who basically. Well, you have to understand. You could have a world without Daniel. Imagine if we have a world without Daniel, meaning we have no eschatology. We have no idea that there's a structure to history.
Right.
Daniel's very busy with that. The whole thing is about that. Even Nebuchadnezzar's dream.
Yeah.
He tells him Hashem is Mahashne, is Naiv Idonaya, Hashem is Morid Malchin, Mamash Malchin. It's all idea that like Hashem has his plan.
Now
that
we have a plan. Now we have a
exactly. Daniel gives us a plan, right? Daniel gives us a plan of time, of the whole history. So I'm telling you that's what dreams are about.
Years, but in periods.
But numbers here also, because you have the numbers about the years. Right.
The statue doesn't have to have specific numbers.
I understand.
It doesn't matter. It's still a plan of time.
Right. It's always a plan of time, right? Exactly. And it's a focus about time, about the fact that Hashem changes the times. Mahashne Idonaya. And yes, and of course, and then to say if we have detailed times, right? So I submit to you that dreams are about itim. Now, so that's the subject of the dream. Now,
okay, before you get on to that, Daniel gives us a structure of time, but he doesn't give us, in most cases, exact times.
He gives us the most important ones.
What?
He gives us the most important one.
The exact time that he gives us, he doesn't actually give us.
I know. I don't know what to make of that. Yeah.
We're not supposed to know.
Okay, it says you.
Okay.
Fine, that's one theory. I don't know. I have no idea.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, Daniel himself didn't know. He didn't know. It's very obscure. What?
It looks like he did.
Right, it looks like he did.
Because he reacted to it, but yeah.
It looks like he did. It's fine. It's fine, yeah. I don't, that's a theory. Just pointing out what I do know. What I do know is that Daniel is busy with time. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, So like, let's say the pasuk in Kehala says, right? The Chacham knows Ace and the Mishpat. That's Yosef. Yosef knows the Ace and the Mishpat. Now, the Mishpat is automatic. It's Pashat at the Mishpat. Yeah, but the Mishpat is very clear. The Chiddush is that he knows the Ace. Okay, so now let's see. So now let's think a little deeper now. So Yosef is telling us. Yosef interpretation is not just I'm giving you a random detail that it's 3 days. Correct?
Yes.
It's not a random detail. As a random detail, it's a very bad interpretation because what Shaykh Surigim to days. Rather, Yosef is telling us something fundamental about the nature of dreams. That dreams are about this problem, this human problem of itim, of God's itim that are beyond our grasp. Dreams bridge that. Okay?
Yeah.
And why now? Think about it. Why do dreams? Why do dreams bridge that? Let's see. In other words, let's see, 1 second. How do we do this? Okay, let me state the point and then we'll figure out how to get there. The point is like this, that Yosef is telling you that there's an ace coming. What did the Sahar Mashkim learn? That there's an ace in the future, which is a good ace.
Yeah.
Right? Because in Kehelas we talk about this good itim. Ace la ledes, ace la mos, ace la tas, ace la kodatua. What?
Times that are appropriate for something, but they're not always good for us.
What do you mean they're not good for us?
There are some negative things that happen.
Right, no, but there are good itim. There are good itim and there are bad itim.
Right.
Is ace raw? Right. So now, so comes the Sahar Eifim and says, you just told me that the dream gave us access to an ace. Right? That's what the dream operates. The dream tells us something about an ace. And the ace is a good ace.
Yeah.
A good ace. Because it's good, it's ace of mishpat, and the mishpat is tight, right?
Right.
Okay. So, now, I want to explain what the Sahar Eifim's time is. There's 2 ways to learn, and I'm not sure what they are. I want to put them both out there. One time that the Sahar Eifim said is, it's a good ace. Because you predict you have an ace of 3 days and something good is going to happen to Sahar Mashkim, right? Right? That's one afani. There's another afani, another way to learn afani. What's the purpose of knowing the itim, according to Kehelas? Because if you don't know the ace, then you're stuck. You can't predict, and you can't protect, right? So let's say, for example, the next dream where Yosef told Paro what to do. It's very clear why he tells him what to do.
Exactly that, right.
Yeah, because the whole purpose of a dream is because lo yeda chacham ma yeh acharav, and the Eitz Ruach comes pissed, you can't plan, and the dream is coming to solve that problem.
Right, which works for Paro, doesn't work for Sahar Mashkim.
So one second. Now let's go slow. So now, Sahar Eifim says the purpose of knowing the future is to avoid the ra.
Right.
So afani b'chaloimi.
To avoid the ra.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to avoid anything.
So 1 second. So now, let's see. He doesn't need to avoid anything. Maybe he's to plan for it. I don't know. Maybe he's going to plan for it and somehow. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Why does the Sahar Mashkim have to know? It's a good question. Why does Sahar Mashkim have to know the future, right? Why does Sahar Eifim have to know the future? Very important, because he has to do something about it, right? Now, Yosef, by the way, could have told him, 1 second, Yosef could have told him, Va'ata, here's what you can do about it.
Yeah, he did.
You know that Daniel told Nebuchadnezzar what to do, by the way.
Yeah.
It's not schwer. Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that he's going to turn into an animal, and Daniel told him, you're going to turn into an animal, and here's what you should do, give tzedakah. And he pushed it off for 12 months. Yeah, so he could have been, Yosef could have said, you're going to die in 3 days, you better do something about it, and give a lot of tzedakah and say a lot of tehillim.
And maybe that'll help.
Yeah, and maybe it would have helped. And we got 12 years from now, and probably would have forgotten about you. The next birthday come around, another year in jail, whatever.
Yeah, okay, could be. But it didn't.
Could be.
But it didn't. He didn't tell
He
him.
didn't. Don't say it didn't.
But he didn't, exactly.
Yosef did it, right. Yosef did it. Right. Okay, now, so let's question this.
Maybe, whatever.
Let's question this.
If he told him to do that, there would be a conflict between the two.
To who?
Sahar Mashkim, Sahar Eifim.
Very good. Okay, so he put all his eggs in the Sahar Mashkim's basket. Big mistake, right?
Yeah.
Remember? So that's Sahar Mashkim says,
yeah.
he should have done better. Okay, wait, we'll get that in a minute. Now,
okay.
Let's figure this out. The Maisa Sahar Eifim said Afani B'Chalami, right? Which means the Sahar Eifim expected, with good logic, that if you're dealing with Itim, if the Chaloim gives you access to Itim, Sahar Eifim is saying one of two things. Either if the dream gives you access to Itim and it's a good ace, so it should be good for me also.
Yeah.
Or the Sahar Eifim is saying, purpose of dreams is to protect us for the ace, right? and to plan ahead. So I also had a dream regarding that ace, which means I understand it's a bad dream, but tell me how to make it good. Okay?
Yeah.
Say that? Now, why? Now, what's the teretz? Let's say the first kasha. If it's a good ace, it's a good ace. Why? So it should be good for me also. No, not what you need to do. No. I'm assuming what the sarif meant. It's either sarif meant it's a good ace.
Yeah.
So then it should be good for me also.
Yeah.
So what's the teretz? Hear the kasha?
Yeah.
The teretz is also in Kehalas. In the Kehalas it says ace la ledes, ace la mos. Now, simple read that. Yeah, simple you read that as two different times. No, I would say no. It's two columns in Kehalas because the point is, and this is obviously part of the Bashmazli, right? Mm-hmm. Is that just like there's an ace la ledes, there's also an ace la mos, and it's not so different than you think. There's a big theme in Kehalas also. Everything corresponds. Right? So it's Yom Hulad says Parai, and it's a time of rebirth, which may be why the Geffen grew so fast, because it's symbolizing birth. That's the point, okay? And Eis Laledes. So the Sahamashkim says, okay, Eis Laledes. Sarifim says, Afani B'chalomi, and Yosef tells him, Eis Lamos.
Well, because it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's not Shver, the same ace.
The same rebirth is also
because birth and death are very connected to each other, right? So therefore, the same ace, well, birth leads to death. So therefore, the same ace, it's not toiv or ra. It's Leida and Maves, and one looks toiv, one looks ra, but they're really not as different as you think. They're both whatever you want. I'm saying that's already getting.
It's good
deep.
for one or good for.
Yeah.
So the time itself was not. It was just.
The time was the time of Leida, which the time of Leida is the time of Misa, right?
So it's a momentous time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a time of birth and death. I don't know.
Right.
It's time of beginning and ending. It's time of beginning and ending, which is Hainuach, right? It's Kapara's birthday, so it's a new beginning for some, and it's an end for others, and
that's it.
Right, do things go together. So that's ace. That's the teretz. You think it's a good ace?
That's not what this kind of ace is.
It's not a good ace or a bad ace. It's ace.
It's ace
Laisamos. How did Yosef know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good question because he's a good paiser.
Okay, fine. All right.
No, according to me, a good paiser means someone who understands itim. That's.
He understands.
That is Yosef.
This is 3 days, and I know that this 3 days symbolizes the time of birth and death.
You understand? We are learning this side of Pistonary. I'll tell you why. Because I'm telling you today that you know why Yosef was a good paiser? Because he was a good dreamer, right?
He was able to tell when the dream was one.
Not he was able to tell. No, because I'm telling you that that's what dreams are all about. Are about this bridging the finding the itim, tapping into all these itim.
Therefore, being able to sense or having.
You know the chachma of itim. It's knowing the chachma of itim.
Okay.
What?
Then you either know it or you don't.
No, right. I'm saying. No, you're familiar with the itim. You're familiar with how the itim work. You know Kahalas basically. Kahalas is very busy with the. Kahalas reads like this. Yeah. Like the time, the world, like history is made up of all these.
Yeah.
What do they call them? Quanta, right? You say discrete amount of time.
Yes.
Quantum.
Fine.
Okay, that there's a discrete amount of time, and it's a bunch of pieces of time, and they all have their own character. That's what it says in Kehalas. There's like a lot of different times, and they all have their own character, and that's what the world is like. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's a theory of
every single
history
part is a particular topic.
Is a certain kind of ace, right? And this is, and if you knew this, you'd know everything. But this is the big mystery, and there's so much change in the world, and everything seems to be this just the same thing over and over, and all different things, and we're just spectators to that. There's nothing much we can do about that except for enjoy what we can and be happy with what we get from it. But there's something much bigger going on, and the thing that's much bigger that's going on is that life is not about you; it's about all these itim that are just each have their own flavor. That's the basic measure.
And something is playing out.
Something's playing out that Hashem knows and you don't know. Right. Comes a dreamer then and says,
we're just along for the ride. If you don't know,
we're along for the ride.
If you do know, then you can plan.
Yeah. Comes a chaloimis and says, you're asking to Kehalas' theology or whatever, metaphysics, let's call it. But I am actually with God in this, that I'm also observing the itim and manipulating, and therefore manipulating them. Right?
Well, if he's not manipulating, he's reacting to them.
Reacting, that's what I'm saying. Planning it.
Not because he knows why. He just knows.
No, he knows the itim. Right. He doesn't know why, but he knows the itim. Therefore, he can react to them. Right. He also then understands. He also knows a lot about itim. Then.
Sure. Right. So maybe he can be able to tell which is which.
Yeah, and he knows Eslamos because
he knows when 3 is a year and when 3 is a day.
Yeah. But I was saying you were asking. Right. I'm saying you were asking before. Like, how do you know that one is going to live, one's going to die? So I'm saying I don't know the full answer to that, but I'm saying is I think that comes from being a dreamer. Is that you know the Torah itim. That's my big point, and that's why Daniel, who's a dreamer, knows about itim. Okay. Now listen. Now it gets even better. Very interesting. Remember. The Sarif has a different argument, which is the purpose of a dream is to protect ourselves in the future, right?
Yes.
So who needs to know the future here? So now, tell me the future, and therefore I can protect myself from it, right?
Yeah.
Now I would say could be the answers. I don't see this in the psukim. Could be the teretzes. Remember, they really had one dream. They came to Yosef and said, "Chalim chalanu paiser ein oisai." So the fact that Sarah Eifim is privy to the future is not because the Sarah Eifim has to be protected. Meaning, there's the whole purpose of dreams is to know the future, to work with the future. That doesn't mean that Sarah, it says yes, it doesn't mean that Sarah Eifim has to know the future. Why? Because it's really one dream, because it's really one ace that's going to look one way for Sarah Mashkim, is one way Sarah Eifim, because Eisla is Eisla Mos.
Yeah.
And therefore, the fact that Sarah Eifim has a dream doesn't mean that the Sarah Eifim has to do anything about it. Because it's really one dream. Just like by Paray.
For whom is it?
So who has to know anything about it? So either Sarah Mashkim has to know anything about it. There's three tzadim. Either Sarah Mashkim, or the Sarah Eifim, or Yosef.
Okay.
Now, I think the Pshah is Yosef. That's the part of the answer, right? What's the purpose of dreams to know the future? Why should you know the future? Because otherwise things happen. Pissam, and you can't plan ahead. Yosef, who needs to plan ahead? Well, we know someone who planned ahead here. Yosef, right?
Didn't work.
So now let's understand what's going on over here. That's why Yosef said, Kiv is a chatani. Last time he's taking advantage. He said, dreams are to plan ahead, because the whole purpose of dreams is because it says in Kehelas.
So I should know.
Right. What does it say in Kehelas? Ki lo yedadam es itoi. Things happen Pisayim. And if it happens Pisayim, you can't do anything about it.
I thought usually you'd have a dream so that you know for yourself.
Okay.
Or for your group, or for whatever, not for
I think so too. So Yosef, right? So Yosef sees himself as being Mr. Dreamer, and he's dreaming vicariously, right? Which, by the way,
he's dreaming vicariously.
that's what it seems. It's very weird, right?
Yeah.
It's very strange. I understand. No, I'm saying they're doing his dreaming for him, right? I know it's very strange. He should have dreamt that Sarmash was going down in 3 days, so he could tell him, right? It's taka strange. Now, and he was wrong. Now, I want to just say one other point. It just occurred to me now. Vayava Yosef Elei Mabayker asked the Kasha, what's the Vayava? Where was he? Right?
Well, you said maybe he was eating breakfast.
Yeah, no, but I think the pshat is he didn't have a dream. Maybe that's the point.
He usually had a dream. He came to them to find out why he didn't have a dream.
Yeah, not that. Not that. The Vayava means no. Why is stress Vayava?
Yeah.
That the point is he was someplace else, meaning he did not dream. Really, if from his perspective, it should have been his dream. He came to them not having had a dream, Gilu. And he learned the damage.
There was a dream.
There was a dream.
And
he discovered, it's Kilu, right? The pasuk is stressing, Yosef, the dreamer, came upon a dream.
He saw him, a dream came to him by them saying...
Because he happened to come to them, Kilu. I mean, he wasn't there, he wasn't part of the dream. Okay, fine.
The problem is that seems not to be correct.
Why not?
Firstly, because everyone else dreams their own dreams, or dreams their own dreams.
I understand.
And secondly, because in his case, he tried to plan based on his dream. It didn't work. So
it didn't work. So he misunderstood. So let's see what he misunderstood. But let's see what he misunderstood. Doesn't mean it wasn't for him.
Okay.
Let's see what it says in Kehelas Perek Zayin. Pasuk Aleph. Toiv Shem Yishem and Toiv V'Yom Hamavis Miyom Havilde. What's better? Perek Zayin Pasuk Aleph. Now, Perek Zayin Pasuk Aleph, it's comparing the Sarah Mashkim and Sarah Eifim's fate, which are very linked together, right? Because Eisla Led, so Eisla Mus. What's better? Eisla Led, so Eisla Mus. Says right? Two things happened in Parajim. Meaning two things happened. Right, it was Parajim Hivaldoi, and someone lived, someone had a rebirth, like the Geffen had his quick rebirth, and someone had death. And Pari had a Yom Huledis. Says Kehelas Perek Zayin, Toiv Shem Yishem and Toiv Yom Hamavis Miyom Havilde. Yom Hamavis is better. Don't go to base mishta, because in the base mishta nobody pays any attention. Is only in the base evel. You're going to send a message with the Sam Mashkim. He's joining a party. The first thing he's going to do is forget about you and get to the party. Toiv kas mischoik. Better cast than schoik. Kiberoya upon him yitav leiv. Madua pneichem roim hayoim. Right? And we know the answer. Sam Mashkim said that the Sarafim was really had something to worry about. Right? That's why he waited to keep passer. And Yosef said to the Sarah Mashkim, Kiyim Zakatani Yitcha v'Yitav, Kasha Yitav loch, right? So you want Yitav? Go with the Roy upon him, with the Sarah Eifim, because Leiv Chacham bebeis Evel, Leiv Ksum beis Simcha. Yosef has to learn how to be a Chacham, as we've been discussing, and the Chacham, the true Chacham, is the one who could see the future. Yosef saw the future here, right? He predicted dreams, not quite. He didn't see the future because he thought.
He's supposed to go with.
He thought the future is that was the future that he predicted. He misunderstood. He misunderstood because Leiv Chacham beis Evel. Toiv l'shmaya gar as Chacham ishem ekshiyaksidem. Really, you know who's Toiv in the story? The Sarah Eifim. V'yar Sarah Eifim gitoiv pasar. Actually, the Sarah Eifim got the Toiv because the Sarah Eifim heard the Gairas Chacham, right? And you know what the Sahamashkim heard? Shir Ksilim. Why? Because Yosef, vis-a-vis the Sahamashkim, acted like a Ksil. Because he put his faith in the Sahamashkim. And Leiv Ksilim b'vei Simcha. Right? Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
You want to look for the Toiv? Sarayim is in the best state right now because he just heard a life-altering prediction that in 3 days he's going to die. He is the guy who could actually take on something interesting and make something out of his life right now.
Right. What is he going to do? We don't know. But you should have gone and talked to him.
The Chayyim should tell him, like Daniel told him, I have an eitzah for you, whatever. 12 months, dude's stuck, I don't know, whatever it is. And then he'll take Yosef very seriously.
What?
Then he'll never forget Yosef.
Right. But then again, when is he going to have a chance to help him?
I don't know, when he comes out, what's the shvim?
When he comes out to die, he's not going to be able to help him.
Good question. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. Okay,
Well, maybe.
Yosef is smart enough to figure out. The point is,
hold on.
you could have done something with him. You could have manipulated him some way. I don't know the answer.
Hold
You have
on.
to look at
But you don't even need to say that he should have asked him for help.
Right.
Because
Could have been something else.
he doesn't have any help.
So what then?
But he's in the place where you can learn.
Oh, so right. It could be the point you were saying before. Usually dreams are for the person that dreamt them. So really you're supposed to tell Sahara if you know why you had this dream so that you should do tshuva.
Yeah.
Right. And then what would have happened? I don't know. Who cares? The dream wasn't about Yosef. The dream was Sahara. Yosef's mistake was maybe bringing the dream to himself. It could be, right. It could be that was a mistake. Hagam, right.
And by the way, if Sarah had done tshuva, maybe he would have gotten out. Maybe all this could have happened to Sarah without Yosef asking.
Correct. And by the way, the Sara'ifim should be the hero of the story in a way because he's the one who was in charge of the bread. And Yosef has dreams about bread and Parish dreams about bread.
It's not about the wine.
Right. It really should be about bread, not about wine.
Where's the wine coming from?
Slave Tzilim, Vei Simcha.
Yeah, but
There's a little bit of
Ksilos.
Ksilos.
Nowhere else in the story is the wine.
Right, because I think it's a little Ksilos going on there.
It's
It's a little Ksilos. It's a delay. No, it's an imperfection in the Yosef stories that it went through the Sahamashkim. It's a problem that it went through the Sahamashkim. Okay? It's Kadka de Zirecha. I don't know, he didn't drink. Maybe it's Shtotze. Anyway, so right, it's a double irony over here. That's the double irony that's going on because.
We didn't drink either, but he also didn't eat the bread. That was the kid.
Right, I know. Right. It's true. In order to be controlled. In order to be controlled of the bread, you have to not eat the bread. Okay, you do it. It's been discussing. But anyways.
It's more so, right? It's less of a chiddush that wine is also than bread is also.
Okay.
No?
Yes, certainly. Although Nechem drank the wine. You gotta have to drink the wine, not the bread. So that's a what?
That's Nehemiah special.
That's not Nehemiah special. That has to do with this parsha, right? Because Nehemiah is don't come on.
You're saying
you still don't know how to learn Tanakh. You still don't know how to learn Tanakh.
Wine's allowed in all.
I'm not looking for terutzim. No, I'm saying the fact is Nehemiah is kosher to this parsha because it's our mashkim and there's maduch penechem roim.
Right.
And it's very interesting because
he didn't eat the bread.
Because you have a heter Sar Mashkim. Now, it might be, by the way, it might be Punk Fakert. It might be. Who's the bad Sar Mashkim? No, he's the bad Sar Mashkim.
Who's the bad Sar Mashkim?
Nehemiah. But Sar Mashkim's a bad guy, let's say, right? Because wine is bad.
Fine.
But, I mean like this. Say we're going with the path you're saying. Yosef avoided the bread perfectly, right? That's great.
Right.
Now, Yosef Lamaisa engaged with the Sar Mashkim.
Yes.
In a bad way. Okay?
Didn't
work out well. Maybe his engagement with Sarayim would have been tell Sarayim to do tshuva. Sarayim can't do anything for him, but he would have told Sarayim to do tshuva, right? And then what would have happened?
Who knows?
Nothing. But nothing to do with Yosef. Whatever. Stam, maybe you get the Pasaka would become mutter. Sarayim would do tshuva.
Maybe not. Sarayim would do tshuva, then who knows?
Fine, right? Who knows what happened? Right, different story. Now, instead he goes to a Sar Mashkim, which is a shtickle, a little bit of a problem because it's Yosef engaging with a Sar Mashkim of Egyptian, and yain is bad.
Yeah.
So in that sense, also we have Nehemiah, who is drinking yain akom, stam yeno. Maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe that corresponds to the fact that there is some engagement with the Sar Mashkim.
That therefore we're stuck with that.
Something like that, right?
Coming back to
Daniel doesn't take the pass. I don't know, something, yeah. No, in a problematic way, whatever. Yeah, the king is involved. I have no idea.
No, this is it.
What, that the king was involved?
The king's involved. Bill by Jane.
Maybe, right. Very good. Excellent, very good, right. Right, same way Yosef went through Sar Mashkim and it was not perfect.
Yeah.
So similarly, Nehemiah is the Sar Mashkim, was literally drinking the wine, and yes, he has a heter, of course, but the point is, it's not good to do that. And in the king is involved. Very good. And by the way, you have a Zman, he told me I gave him a Zman, I have to come back after 12 years. Nehemiah said, because I gave him a Zman. It's very important in Nehemiah. With kings, everything is a Zman, by the way.
Right.
And you have it also in Megillah. Mm-hmm. Right? Right? Kings are very busy with Yitim and Zman.
Right.
I think that's why they're busy with dreams also. Maybe says they're busy with dreams because kings have to know. They have to know what's coming. I'm saying, kings have to know the Yitim. Okay, Akapanim. So
Well,
right.
that's
So,
the whole point. The Zopar has a dream, and Nebuchadnezzar has a dream. They need to know. They need to
yeah,
plan.
they need people's predictions.
12 years, 12 months is also.
They need 12-year plans, right? 5-year plans, whatever. Yeah.
That's it. They got 12 months.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
also 12.
yeah,
I
plans.
don't know if it's related.
Okay, Akapanim, let's finish up. Okay, let's finish up. So there's a triple irony here. I don't know what we're gonna call it, double irony. Basically, it's like this: everyone knows dreams have to predict the future and to protect you from the future. So everyone's very excited over here. Sarmashk was excited, but Sarmashk had no need to know it. I don't know. Did it help him to know it? Or not? Sarah Ephraim said, "Oh, so I'm going to know the future, so I could do something about it, and I know what bad stuff is coming." But Afani b'chalomi ki toiv passer. I see that you understand that the purpose of dreams is for toiv, which it is, because that's what it says in Keheles. The whole problem is lo yeda, because it says in Keheles. I'll tell you why. Because it says in Keheles that the problem of the future is you never know the raw that's coming.
Right.
Yosef told us that very chiddush. Why? Because Yosef told us that dreams are a means of knowing the future.
Right.
Why? Why do you need a means to know the future? Because the future could
So
Yosef is telling.
you know it's about time.
Yosef taught him Keheles. Right. Yosef taught him Keheles right here. Yosef taught by saying Shlosh Yom Shlosh V'Gim, he's teaching Keheles the Hainu. Dreams are a means of dealing with the evil that unknown future contains. So the B'sar and that's therefore Kitayv Passer, meaning the whole purpose of Piston is for Tayv.
Right.
Okay? So Sarafim says, great, let's do this. And he's like, you're not Negea, Sarafim. You're just here, Agav the Sahamashkim, or whatever, because you guys are really one and the same. Or because every ace Tayv also has, every ace later has an ace Misa. It's just like the side effect, because because it goes together. There's no Tayv without Ra, there's no Misa without later, forget it. And you know what the Tayv is here? It's me. And Kiyam Zakatani Yitcha. That's what the dream is for. And that was a big mistake.
He got it backward.
What?
He got it backward.
He got it?
Backward. The Tov was really the base Avel.
Yes, because Tov l'shmai garas lachem milev shmeik shik. So the Tov guy is really sorry. Taka sorry from mistake. Now I want to show you one more thing.
But the story may not have been for Yosef to try to do something for himself.
Right, it was for the Sarah.
It was about that.
Right, we have to figure out what would happen. I have to think about that more. What would have happened?
It's impossible to tell. But
No, it's not.
We can speculate.
No, it's not. The problem you can figure it out. No, I'm saying based on other parashas.
Again, if you say that he would have got him more time or got him off.
Well, we have to figure out what would he have done. That's the first question. What should he have told the Sarafim to tell him?
Well, if you compare it with the Nebuchadnezzar, he could have told him to do something that would have
to schosim, get schosim.
Right, which would have either saved him for a time or saved him altogether.
Yeah, and maybe the most natural schos would be for him to try to save Yosef, to have the innocent guys in jail. By the way.
That's a good point.
So okay, but we have to figure it out. We can't just speculate. We have to see if it doesn't. Now I want to show you two psukim in Keheles. Okay, we spoke about these already. One of them for sure. Take a look at Perik Yud Aleph Pasuk Tes Zayin. Perik Yud Aleph Pasuk Tes Zayin. It says, "Woe to you, the land Shemakich Noar." Yud Tes Zayin.
Oh, okay.
Perik Yud Pasuk Tes Zayin. Eloch Eretz Shemakich Noar. Woe to you, the king, a land whose king is a nar. V'sarayich b'boker yechelu. Ashreich Eretz Shemakich ben Chayrin. So you can't be a nar. You can't have a nar to be a king, right? Yosef is the nar. Ivri, he's not quite ready to be a king. You have to first get free, not an eved, right? V'hasham yitanu nar ivri eved.
Yeah.
V'sarayich ba'es yechelu. You know when you saw him eat, they eat ba'es. The gvur b'loi b'shsi. Now, the Sarim eat ba'es, right? And they do b'gvur and not b'shtia, right? So really, you know who should have been by the ace, which is 3 days. Really, this should be the real principal actor there. Okay, that's the ace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now
They don't drink.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know exactly how it works, but by the way, it's only grape juice. Let's not forget.
I'm not sure if it ripened that quickly. Maybe.
Okay, good. Interesting. Now look at the pasuk. It says "Begvura v'lebish," right? So take a look. So he wants gvura. The sar who eats ba'ace. This is the ace's 3 days when Paro is having his party. It shouldn't have been a party. It should have been eating, not drinking. It seems, and then that would be gvura, right?
Yeah.
Go back to Perik Tes.
Except that's how the kings celebrate their birthday.
Okay, go back to Perik Tes where it talks about the poor man who saved the city,
Yeah.
and nobody remembers the poor man. This is Perik Tes pasuk Tes Vav, and then in Perik Tes Zayin it says, "Vermati ani toiva chachma migvura." Chachma is better than gvura, right? What does it mean Chachma is better than gvura? If you look at two psukim, it talks about a great king, and along comes a poor man that nobody pays any attention to. The great king is Parai. The poor man who saved the whole city that nobody thinks about is Yosef. And Chachma is better than gvura, meaning Yosef, who's the Chachma, is better than Parai, who's the Gibar. So ani Parai bal dechal v'mishes yadai Who's better here? So Paro is better, but no. Really, Yosef is better. Okay.
Because Paro is only supported altogether, only exists by Yosef.
Yeah, because the Ma'aseh you need the Chachma.
Although, frankly, in the story
Need the
here
Chachma.
in Koheles, it's the opposite way.
Why?
The Melech Gadol was trying to attack the city.
Okay.
Not trying to preserve the city. And
Yeah, because the Melech Gadol will kill the city, will destroy the city. That's the point. No.
even though with
Paro destroys the city that he thinks he's preserving it, but he's really destroying it.
Right.
I think the Medrash says that.
Okay. Yeah.
Paro would be destructive by itself. He needs the Chachma. Anyway, so you could be a big gibor, but you'll end up self-destructing. You need the Chachma. And fine. So that's the ace. By the way, so again, it says the Sarim eat ba'ace, right? And I'm telling you, what ace is this? This is Yom Huladas as Pare, which is the first in the list of eatim. Ace laledes. That is right.
Same time.
It's at the same time. It's Lamed Lamos, but which is better? Yom Hamos Yom Avodah. That's the whole thing over there. So again, that's the point thing, that Yosef is the Chalomis person. He knows how to dream and he knows how to be person, because to dream and to be person is one and the same thing. Okay? Yeah, that's it. Now, see you in a few weeks from now. We're off now.
Are we also assuming that the pairs are always parallel?